After years of falling short in recruitment levels, the US Army and as well as the other military branches have announced that they are doing well in terms of new recruits. Let's dig into why. So the Trump administration, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, have said that it's a Trump effect, that there's a Trump bump in the military, that there's a renewed sense of patriotism. It might be the case that is happening, but there's also a bunch of administrative reasons why this could be taking place. So the U.S. Army has launched a new program called the Future Soldier Preparatory Course, or the FSPC, and it's designed to help borderline recruits who are not making the cut get into the armed forces, get into the U.S. Army. So a lot of young people are unable to join the military due to either academic reasons or physical reasons. Academically, they are not prepared in reading, writing, arithmetic, verbal skills, all that is needed to join the US Army and other branches. And then physically, with rising rates of obesity, there are just fewer people capable of joining and meeting the armed forces' standards. So this program, the FSPC, is gives recruits 90 days under the U.S. Army's purview to get into academic and physical shape. And this has really bolstered their recruits because a lot of would-be recruits wouldn't make the cut, and now they are making the cut. And it's not lowering standards; the standards have stayed the same. It's about getting people who would join but currently can't with 90 days of a buffer period to get physically able to meet those goals. There have also been better incentives and better outreach in the coming few years that are trying to make up the weak performance um, uh, goals relative to their enlistment goals. The Trump administration, Pete Hegseth, they're all saying this is a renewed patriotism due to America First and the America First agenda and the Trump administration. Defense officials and independent analysts caution against overcrediting Trump because first of all, we don't really know why people are joining or not joining the armed forces. But two, more importantly, the armed forces are historically apolitical, nonpartisan, and it's something we very much want to keep that way. The military is one of the last institutions with high levels of trust among the American people, and part of that is that it is one of the last bastions of our society that politics has not entered, and so we don't want it to enter that part of society. And so we want to keep politics out of the military. Now, this is part of a larger trend that the military has struggled with, in that we want to keep an all volunteer military, but there are fewer and fewer people capable of joining. Part of that is due to academic standards in our high schools not preparing kids to enter, of a standard to enter the military. But it's also about a shrinking eligibility pool relative to physical standards. We have rising rates of obesity, drug use. That is really limiting the pool of eligible people to join the military. We've also had a strong private sector labor market. And so that competition for the military makes civilian jobs more enticing than military jobs for young people. The U.S. Army acknowledges that we are currently operating in a competitive labor market, and so we that they need to make the military an appealing career path for people. The military has also struggled with retention and attrition. Nearly 1 in 4 soldiers since 2022 has left the services early, and so high attrition means that when people are trying to join, they're seeing that people are leaving. It's less appealing. The U.S. Army's program to get would-be candidates up to speed is a great thing because it keeps the standards where they're supposed to be, but it gives people the buffer period with the Army's oversight to get to the place where they will be successful. And whether it's a Trump bump or it's just incentives and administrative changes, this is a good thing for our armed forces.